There are lots of different genres of video games that people find enjoyable, but which one is the right one to target for a Web3 audience? TSG has written up a really awesome thread that I'm going to go through today to talk about if the auto battler audience exists and if Illuvium has enough pressure there to be able to take some of that market share and really cultivate a strong player base of people that will be around for years to come. Now, as many of you probably already know, shooters and real-time strategy games and things like that have really large, loyal fan bases. But auto battlers are not so different to them that you might think. They're not like got like 5 players on them or anything like that. They've got a lot more dominance in the markets than you might think, and this thread explains all of that really well. So we're going to cover it off. I'm going to throw in my own opinions as well. I'm going to just talk about what this means for Illuvium and what it means moving forward as to how many players Illuvium might be able to get. As TSG mentions in this first part of the thread, Teamfight Tactics is the 17th most viewed game on Twitch. I tried finding some other stats that are outside of Twitch and things like that, but since everything's on different platforms such as Steam and Riot's own launcher and things like that, it's a bit hard to garner some of the other data. So I think the Twitch stats are quite good because it's not just as important as to how many players there are. Not only is viewers a good indication of how many players there are, but viewers is a good indication of how watchable something is. It can be a really great game, such as like Civilization 6, but it's not exactly the most entertaining to watch from just a casual viewer's perspective. So it being 17th here is pretty impressive. If we look at some of the other things on the list, we've got Just Chatting at the top, obviously. League, Grand Theft Auto, and Valorant, all obvious right up there. Counter-Strike CSGO is the top most played game on Steam right now, so that's not a shock. Minecraft, probably the top most played game of all time. You got Dota, which is obvious, Apex, Fortnite, both Battle Royales are always going to be up there. World of Warcraft's a little bit surprising here. Call of Duty Warzone, another Battle Royale, which is obviously dominating the space in pretty much every facet right now. You've got Overwatch, Escape from Tarkov, both shooters and great ones at that. FIFA, which I'm a little surprised is up here as well. Sports, whatever that means. Slots, which is obviously gambling. And then Teamfight Tactics. Now, what you'll notice is that Teamfight Tactics is actually kind of the weird one on this list. The rest of them make a lot of sense, and Teamfight Tactics is a much more casual game. I don't think any of these games listed here are mobile, okay? Except for Minecraft, but Teamfight Tactics is also a mobile game. So it just goes to show that the genre is watchable enough that a game that you would argue is probably more simple has made it onto number 17 on this list. I think it's an impressive thing, and we should definitely keep that in mind. Also, you must admit that with things like League of Legends, Grand Theft Auto, and Valorant in the way, how are you going to make a game that is so much better than them? The players are going to leave those games or want to play your games as well. It's near impossible. Imagine trying to make the next Minecraft. That is, anyone who wants to do that, I wish you luck. But you're going to have to do something pretty spectacular. So if we keep looking on, there were 198k unique broadcasters streaming TFT in the last 365 days, highlighting that there is a market for gamers streaming this genre of game. As TSG said, for the last 365 days, 200,000 unique people streamed it. Okay? Now, I don't know how many views the bottom 50% of them got, but when you start to think about it, it's interesting because that means that it had about 200,000 people at a minimum play the game, which I think is pretty cool in itself. But yeah, there's definitely demand for it, which is really awesome to see. I really like this calc he's done here. I don't know how he went through and got all this data. This doesn't sound fun. But basically, the top 5 channels make up about 56% of the watch time, but even channels 100 to 250 get about 5 million watch hours collectively, right? Which is super impressive. 5 million watch hours is no small feat. You got to think that, 24 hours in a day, I'm not going to be able to do that math, but there's a lot of people watching even the 100th creator, which on Twitch is no small thing. That there's a lot of people making a presence and making a name for themselves out there. And those people are probably profit enough to be doing Twitch full time. So the fact that about 250 people are able to do Twitch full time, just playing TFT, says that there is enough of a business opportunity in TFT right now. And Illuvium, if you ask me, although it's not quite the same game, it's definitely on par in terms of general gameplay and things like that. So there was only one other real competitor to TFT, which is auto chess. Taking market share from a monopoly is much more viable compared to other genres like FPS. Like I said before, it's going to be really hard to go in there and be a better Call of Duty. I don't think that's going to happen in the near future. They've had 20 plus years to perfect the gunplay in Call of Duty so that it just feels smooth, and they're porting that to every future game, right? I don't know how much they're reworking it, but from as far as I can tell, they're barely touching it because they got it perfect over the past decade, okay? Trying to build a game that's better than that is very, very difficult unless it has a clear weakness in it, or you can enhance the gameplay loop so much with blockchain that it's doable. This is one of the reasons I really love Illuvium, okay? If you think about it, card games have always been the number one use case for blockchain technology. The number two is definitely massively multiplayer online games, MMOs, right? Those two game genres are the biggest ones for blockchain technology. And the fact that we're taking auto chess, which is a really key game in terms of viewership and entertainment and everything, and we're matching it together with deck building, which is one of the number one use cases for blockchain technology, you've got a winning recipe where you've got an audience and you've got a reason to use the blockchain. There's nothing worse than trying to add a blockchain where it's not necessary. All right, the next one we've got here is Teamfight Tactics has 33 million monthly players. TSG said if we're conservative, we take 10% of those players also want to play Illuvium at the very least, that would be 3 million monthly players. Now, I don't know how true that is or if that's going to happen, but I definitely think it's fair to say that Teamfight Tactics has held on to 30 million monthly players. They probably had more before, but they've been around for a while now, so them managing to get up to 30 million is pretty impressive, to say the least. Not many games can hold that sort of retention, and it makes me very excited for the future of Illuvium, hoping that it can hold the retention of enough people that they want to stay and keep playing, and the competitive scene gets really vibrant, because that's what's going to attract even more people into the game. Axie at its peak had 3 million monthly players, so it's not that unrealistic to think that 3 million would also come to Illuvium. Next on, TFT is an 8-player game which has a large component of RNG, and Illuvium is closer to a TCG, like I said. It's a unique take on the genre and offers players something different and more competitive. I disagree with TSG a little bit here, where I definitely think it offers players something really different and unique, but I think it's going so far as to say that it's not really an auto battler genre anymore. I would say it's going to play a little bit more like a card game. After playing Shardbound, I know that it plays a lot more like a strategy card game rather than an auto battler game. But at the same time, we're going to be capturing the cinematic feel of the auto battler and the speed of the gameplay as well. You can't kind of like ignore that, where card games are notoriously slow, right? Because you play a card one turn at a time. It might take you 30 to 40 turns for a longer game to complete. But in Illuvium, because it's mixed in with the auto battler genre, you're going to be playing, 5 to 6 cards a turn, potentially. So now you've only got 3 or so turns. And what that means is that it's much faster paced while still having a lot of the strategy, gameplay, and deck building of a trading card game. So you're mixing those two genres together really well. And it's something I think Marvel Snap's done quite well as well. Graphically far superior. I don't think we could talk about this too much. What's more important to me is actually the IP. So Riot built a fantastic IP. And if you were going to come in and try and compete in that genre and in that space, you have to make sure that your IP is just as good, if not better. I don't think better is going to be the right word. An IP is very much an art form. Pokemon and Digimon, one has been far more successful than the other, but one's not necessarily better. People just like different things from their IPs that they fall in love with, right? But I think Illuvium has built something that is going to resonate with so many people, and that's really what's most important here. In conclusion, with Illuvium PvP coming out this quarter, an open beta scheduled for Q4, Illuvium positioned incredibly well with very little competition to grab a considerable amount of market share and offer an alternative competitive experience in the auto battler genre. Could not have said it better myself. Let's just put it that way. So a bonus fact is that the second largest English streamer on Twitch, this is crazy, he got 200% more watch time. I guess that's year over year. Is the biggest TFT streamer in the world. So It's very simply put, build it and they will come, but also tell the content creators to play it and they will come. I don't know if anyone's paying Soju to play TFT. It doesn't really matter, but know that even if your game has to be good, that's the number one thing. After that, it does come down a lot to marketing and things like that to really light the fire that will then cause some sort of virality and some sort of explosion. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys learned something about why Illuvium is going to garner millions of players in the next even 2 to 3 years. Have a good day.